Why Watch That is a podcast featuring the critic
and referee who go head-to-head on a quest to discover the best movies
and TV shows Hollywood has to offer. Expect the unexpected from the critic.
Well, nothing gets past the ref.
We do all the work,
so you don't have to. Welcome to Why Watch That.
And it is day 4. Cat. See, I did not do that this time. Cat.
TIFF 2019.
Yes. Or quattro in Italian. Quattro in Spanish.
Okay. Oh my gosh, we're deep
in Mandarin.
Yes.
And we are still coming back in with the ref, and the ref is still in Toronto.
I'm tired.
And this is, it's so funny how when you have a trip, you have work to do, and at the end, all the hard work is there. So the ref is about to be at her final day at TIFF, day 5.
Tomorrow.
But day 4 was a whopper, and there are 4 movies on the ref slate here, and we'll see what she has to say. Yeah, a lot of stars, of course. So let's get right to it. Number 1 on the list is Jojo Rabbit.
By whom?
Well, Taika Waititi.
Y'all know who he is.
On board here. Well, yeah,
Thor
that
Ragnarok,
latest, the Thor movie, right? That latest one. Also, that vampire show on FX. All of this stuff. Okay. So he's directing it. He wrote the screenplay as well. It stars,
and starring him.
He's in it as well. Yes, along with Rebel Wilson is in this. Alfie Allen is in this. Now you're going, who is Alfie Allen? Game of Thrones, Theon Greyjoy. Yes, he's in it. We have Thomas McKenzie. Oh, interesting. From one of our favorite movies. Mm-hmm,
yes,
from
Leave No Trace.
Mm-hmm. Yes, very good for her. And Sam Rockwell and Scarlett Johansson. Now this is
Roman Giffen Davis. Can't forget him.
Him too.
Good kid.
So all of them are here along with Stephen Merchant. We can just say all of them. And already, I mean, even before this premiered anywhere, there's been all kinds of strange buzz, I'll say it. Some people are into it, some people are not. Now, what is the it in question? The ref is going to tell you.
Okay, now I have to also add to that this is it is potentially a polarizing movie. Why? Well, I'm going to tell you why. It is World War II, the very last threads of World War II. At this point, we're in Germany. And there is this little boy named Jojo, played by Roman, the little boy we're just talking about. His name is Jojo, Jonathan Jojo. And he is a very inspired young 10-year-old, shall we say? Very inspired. He is going to a camp that is teaching other 10-year-olds and young boys and some girls how to be the very best and greatest Nazis ever.
Mm-hmm. No, see, that's what I was talking about.
It is World War II. But hold on, this is Taika. So
it is Taika.
There's going to be some sort of twist to all of that. But this little boy, I mean, he's got swastikas all over his little room. He is extremely excited to be a future German soldier. He's excited about his pure Aryan blood. And he also has an imaginary best friend. And his imaginary best friend is Adolf Hitler. Mm-hmm. Adolf is his best friend. And no one else can see him but little Jojo. And of course, Adolf is played by who other than Taika. Now, what kinds of trouble is this going to get? I know it sounds crazy. It sounds like it would never work, but it does. Taika as Adolf is hilarious. but we'll get to that. So this little boy discovers that his mother, played by Scarlett Johansson, is wanting him to be a little boy as best as he can. The war is crazy. It's costing a lot of lives. She's a good German. And with that being said, there's only so much childhood that you can have. She encourages her young son to have as much childhood as he can, because his father is off to war and they haven't heard from him in 2 years. So the mother is making the best out of it. As things progress, Sam Rockwell's character, shall we say, is quite the force. He's his commanding officer, so to speak, who's been demoted to training children to be good Nazis. I mean, he's teaching them how to jump on grenades, throw grenades, how to kill rabbits. I mean, all sorts of things are going on in this camp. But something happens. A discovery is made. And that comes, I'm not going to say what it is, but it comes in the form of Thomas and Mackenzie. And it changes everything. My goodness, what could possibly happen in Germany towards the end of the war? What do you think is going on? It changes little Jojo's it's a paradigm shift. And now he has to decide, is he going to remain faithful to the German way that he grew up knowing, grew up demonstrating in his own bedroom in his home? I mean, the boy is even writing a book. It's called, I'm not even going to tell you what the book is called. It's derogatory towards Jews, so you'll find out. Is Adolf, his best friend, going to convince him to stay on that track, or will he have a change of heart? Because in his little 10-year-old mind, the Germans are going to win, and we know history. So how does that play out? That's all the plot you're getting. There's a lot that happens. Now that sounds like, why would I ever want to watch that movie? That sounds like a terrible movie. Remember, it's Taika. It's Taika. Remember how you watched Thor and it was like, whoa, I've never seen this Thor before. Turns it on its head. Well, this is absolutely turned on its head. It's a complete farce, a satire of what it means to be a good swastika-wearing Nazi, and how Adolf, your best friend, can lead you down roads that maybe you don't want to go down, maybe you shouldn't have gone down. And surprisingly, there's a lot of heart to this. Now remember, Taika's very good at working with children. Remember that movie he did that took place in New Zealand with Sam Neill into the wilderness people, or the wilderness people, I think it's called. The Wilder people. Mm-hmm. Wilder people. And so he's very good with working with young talent. And he found this amazing little boy, Roman, who is absolutely, I mean, the boy cries, the boy, it's wonderful performance. And of course, we remember, as we said, Thomason from Leave No Trace, who does beautiful work, not only in that movie, but she is a force. She's the next thing coming through. Scarlett Johansson plays this really offbeat, strange mother who you'll find out there's some secrets there that maybe you do and don't want to find out. I thought it was beautifully played. Now, Sam Rockwell has a twist and surprise to his character. Wait for it is all I have to say. Wait for it. And of course, I'm going to end my performance review. Everybody else was wonderful, but Taika as Adolf Hitler, you would think that wouldn't work in a million years. It is one of the funniest performances I've seen at TIFF. And I thoroughly enjoyed his ridiculousness. I mean, he's jumping out of windows. He's, I won't ruin the plot. There are some things that you just go, what in the heck just happened? So overall, I say this. If you are a fan of Taika, this movie is for you. If you like things like, if you like a serious matter being turned on its head. Now remember, I said the critics are polarized on this because there is an even amount of drama and farce. So does he weave in and out of that ever so gracefully? Not always, but the moments for me still worked. It just was a little abrupt at times. if that is your thing, if you're interested in seeing the Nazi German 1940s end of World War II turned on its head, then I think this may be for you. It's no Quentin Tarantino and Glorious Bastards and blah 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 blah. It's not that. It's different. So, and if you liked that, then maybe check this out as well. So I will say, keep your eye out for Jojo Rabbit, and we'll be eager to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So that is on my list to see at some point.
Yes, you should see it. You should see it.
Now, speaking of what I will see at the New York Film Festival and that you've just seen is Marriage Story. And this is Noah Baumbach's latest film. So Noah did the directing, of course, did the writing, of course, which is usual for him. It stars Scarlett Johansson. Here she is again.
She's back. I saw her back to back today. I was like, well, there she is.
And this is completely different, so we'll see what you have to say. Along with Adam Driver. Now, what a pair that must be. Along with them is the great Laura Dern, the great Alan Alda, and the great Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta!
Or Liotta.
Julie Haggerty shows up from Airplane, if you know Airplane 1 and 2, among other things.
And just so you know, everybody, this is a Netflix film. It will be available in November. I didn't say that about Jojo Rabbit. For Jojo Rabbit, my friends, it'll be in theaters in mid-October. So, back to Marriage Story. Tell us. Now, this ain't no good marriage. I know that much. So, tell us what's happening here.
Okay, so I have to dance around this because, again, the critic will be seeing this, and I don't want to completely ruin his experience. He likes more surprises than not. So I will do my best, but I have to say what I have to say. So we have a couple. Adam Driver is married to Scarlett Johansson. His name is Charlie. He's a director. They're in New York City, and he's like a well-known avant-garde director. And his muse is Scarlett Johansson, whose name is Nikki. It starts off with this beautiful, you've seen it in the trailer. What you see in the trailer of them describing one another, that is what you hear. And you see all these beautiful montages of them being like the perfect person for each other. And then you realize why they're describing it. I'm not going to tell you why. What they're actually doing. And you're like, oh, what happened? What happened? Because two people who seemingly were perfect for each other, as it says in the tagline and in the description, I'm not giving it away, they're not going to, it doesn't seem like they're going to make it. They're going through a separation and ultimately heading toward divorce. Now, how on earth do we get there? Well, this movie doesn't go back and show you how you get there. It actually does something different and a little surprising, because I thought that's where we were going. I thought we were going to go backwards and work our way to this catastrophic situation. And instead, Noah decides to drive, no pun intended, forward. And
Thank
you
you.
see, well, yes. And I think it's a different take. It's a very different way of doing this. So we see Nikki. She has decided to move back to her hometown in Los Angeles. However, her husband, who she's separating from, is in New York, and they have a son. Uh-oh. That complicates everything. Because the laws in California are stark different than the laws in New York City. And Mr. What I say his name was? Mr. Charlie decided to let his wife and his child go to California, and then she gets some papers working. When you're served in California, it's complicated, and we ride through that complication. Now, who takes us along that ride? Laura Dern plays a lawyer, and everyone started clapping because of, not because, oh, it's Laura Dern, it's because, oh my gosh, are we gonna get Renata from Big Little Lies 1 and 2? Because we know where she can go. Now, I will say, she I would say this is the nice version of Renata, but there's some bite there, and I just enjoy Laura Dern. I enjoy her more and more and more, especially since after Big Little Lies. And then we also enter another lawyer, played by Ray Liotta.
Oh my
and
goodness.
You can only imagine you get a semi-version, dimmed-down version of Renata and Ray Liotta. What happens is you start to see that the system of divorce starts to be greater and bigger and grander than the actual two people getting divorced. And that's what this movie is about. It's about two people who genuinely love each other, but they have come to the end of things. Can they salvage anything from the system? Can you salvage it? And you'll find out whether they can or not. So that's all I'm giving you.
You know, the title is Marriage Story.
Yes, it is called Marriage
what does that mean?
Story.
Mm-hmm.
What does it mean? And what all does that entail? And, you know, everybody expects a sad ending, but do you really get one here? Oh, does he trick you? I don't know. Well, I do know, but I'm not going to tell you. Now for the actual review, or the snippet review. Again, I have to dance around this because I don't want to taint the critic, because he's seeing this next week. It belongs on Netflix. It could use a stiff, I'm going to start with the negative. It could use this is what I wrote down. I think this is the way to say it. This could use a respectful, careful edit of 20 minutes, shaving it. And the reason why I say respectful and careful is that you don't just trash scenes, get rid of that, get rid of that. I think it's beautiful work here. And because Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson did beautiful work.
As expected.
As expected. And to be honest, I knew Adam was going to deliver in places, but I didn't know how far Scarlett would go with him. But he's so easy to ride along with. And Scarlett Johansson took him for a ride. And I'm not going to tell you about them scenes. There is one
Scarlett
scene.
is a smart actor.
Oh, very smart. Very smart. But she's so smart that she's not going to get in your way.
Mm-hmm.
And I was nervous that she was just going to let Adam Driver drive.
Mm-hmm.
But you soon find out
Adam
the way.
Driver drive.
I know. I've been waiting to do that pun. And you see her do her thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if it had that's why it's on Netflix. If we go back to The Ring, Peter Jackson, that metaphor. If it's not about the ring, we don't include it. And I think all of these, there's a lot of Netflix. I'm going to talk about on one after this, another Netflix or another movie that could use this, like a heavy-handed edit. If they allowed an outside eye come in and go, just shave this, shave that, get rid of that. You don't need that. This is nice because they did good work, but it doesn't drive the story. I think that this could have been a great movie, but instead it is a powerful movie. It's a deeply feeling movie. You feel deeply for these two people. You see the ugly pangs of divorce, and it's ugly. It gets ugly. It gets ugly. And you also see that two people who loved each other don't stop loving each other, even in the ugly times. And that's hard to watch sometimes. It's hard to watch. But then also, it's beautiful at the same time. So I say that if you are interested in great performances, you're going to get them here. If you're interested in watching and being the uncomfortable third wheel of a couple's that relationship that's crumbling, if you're okay with that, I say that you should also see this. I also say that if you are uncomfortable with that, you should see it, because there are some beautiful light moments that sort of, when it gets into those darker places, like there's this one scene that I'm thinking of that you will know when you get there that it's like, whoa.
exchanges were made, and you would think there's no turning back, and you'll have to decide if they can recover from that or not. I just thought it was a wonderful movie to be enjoyed at home. You could do it by yourself, or you can watch it with someone else. It is a solid movie, but it does have its lulls. It went on forever, but I didn't mind. I didn't mind as much.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to that. You know, I like good performances.
Yes, you will be satisfied.
And speaking of performances, Bad Education is next on the list. The third here. Now look at the ref's face.
No, don't look at my face. I like hiding behind the mic.
So this is it's directed by Corey Finley. It's written by Mike Makowski. It stars another wonderful cast here. We have Hugh Jackman. We have Allison Janney. Interesting character. And Ray Romano, my boy, is in this.
You love Ray. Ray.
Oh my goodness. Alex Wolff is sneaking his way into this again. What a career he's having. And more and more and more. Now, we do not have a theatrical release date for this movie yet. We don't know. But the ref did see it. So tell us all about it. It is under 2 hours. I do see that. That's a positive.
Is it? Okay, so no shade. Okay, so this is based on, and this is inspired by, it said, true events. If you remember a couple years ago, not a couple, but a few years back, that big, huge scandal in Long Island, that school district that we found some things that were gone awry. I would, before seeing this movie, just don't visit. Don't go back and read it. But if in the back of your mind, you're like, oh my gosh, I remember that scandal. Well, this is this movie, The Scandal. It has Frank Tazzone, who is a superintendent of this prestigious Long Island, New York, Long Island, a school district that is competing with these other prestigious school districts. And right now they're number 4 in, I believe, New York City. And what does that mean? That means that they have such a high rate of students' test scores who are through the roof, that are through the roof. And as well as that, they have such a huge percentage of their graduating class go on to Ivy League schools. And the trickle-down effect, remember when the elections, the trickle-down economics of that is, when you have a high-performing school district, that means you attract high-performing families, money. And if you attract high-performing families, then that means property taxes go up. I mean, it's a whole thing that in America, unfortunately or fortunately, this is how it's arranged. Now, this is a public school. These are not private schools. These are taxpayers paying for this. And you have the superintendent, Frank, who seems to be on top of his game. I mean, he is performing, and right now they want to do a skywalk on one of the high school's campuses, connecting the middle school to the high school. And it's going to cost them millions and millions of dollars. And they've been spending the last 8 to 7 years raising those funds, getting those test scores up, attracting wealthy families so they can get this completed. Now, alongside of him is Pam Gluckin. And that's played by Allison Janney. She is the controller. She's controlling, and she's the controller. So she's the one saying, okay, now cut from here, take this there. We're going to get this into a place where we can get that skywalk, and we can also get the funds coming in because we want these property taxes up, and up. So Frank's doing his things. I mean, he's shining and he's dancing. He's learning all the kids' names, all the parents' names. He's handling the difficult parents. He seems to be on top of the world. But I said this is based on a scandal.
It's called Bad Education.
It's called Bad Education. And without giving anything away, Frank has a personal life that is definitely worthy of a front page. Miss Allison Janney's character, Pam, has done some things that a controller should not do. And when things start to unravel, what will become of Frank, Pam, and everyone else who has poured their sweat, blood, tears, and money in that district? Oh, House of Cards, you pull one card, everything comes trickling down. Bad education. Now, that's the plot. That's all I'm giving you. A lot of things happen in this. And again, if you want to see this movie, just the best you can, shy away from going back to those articles and just experience it.
The plot sounds good.
I did that, though. I was trying to sell it. I'm trying to sell it. Because the fact of the matter is, okay, let's start with the positive, and then we're just going to taper off. Allison Janney, with this New York accent, she's just, and this blonde wig. These wigs, this festival. I tell you what, I thoroughly enjoyed her. She was just absolutely, I mean, the stuff that was coming out of that woman's mouth. I enjoyed her in anything, and I enjoyed her in this. Ray Liotta, or excuse me, what am I saying? Ray Romano is absolutely Ray Romano. You get why he was hired for this. The other supporting cast did some strong performances. No one really stood out as being like, what's going on here? It just seemed very even. And then Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is, if you're going to get a shiny tooth, ding, kind of guy who has personal life issues, I'm not going to tell you what those are again. This is the guy. It was cast well, but the cast is not the problem. This movie was all over the place. It did not, I didn't know what I was focusing on, because at one moment it looked like it was about this school. Then another moment it's about Frank's personal life and this stuff. And then another moment it's about scandal. And then another moment it's about dreams lost. I mean, it was literally all over the place, and I didn't know what to focus on. And maybe that's why it hasn't been picked up to be distributed yet, because how do you market something like this? And my best advice for you is, if you're just curious about this scandal, if you're curious about Allison Janney's performance, then maybe check this out. Do you need to, though? Is it better to just read the articles? Maybe. And that's not, I think I'm giving you options here. I'm giving you options. I'm not saying don't see it. I'm saying that if you are really wanting the story to be driven and told, then read the article, because you'll get, read the news. You'll get more of the story there. But for this, it was so many different places that I think that the saving grace of this is just to watch Allison Janney in her blonde wig and Hugh Jackman do the best that he could do with what was written and given to him, and just sit back and not expect to get the full story in a way that is told in a straightforward manner.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm hearing is, maybe if someone's interested in distributing this movie, this might be a movie you distribute at the beginning of next year, and you write off of star power. That's what you do, because it's going to get lost if you do it at the end of this year. Based on what the rap is saying, it's going to get lost.
Yeah.
And
so
what's not going to get lost?
Well,
is the laundromat. I'm not saying it's good because I haven't seen it, but it will not get lost.
No,
and this is the laundromat. It is Steven Soderbergh's latest movie. Yes, he directed it. Screenplay by Scott Z. Burns. Okay, it is based on the whole Panama Papers thing. Okay,
you
real
remember
stuff.
that?
Mm-hmm. Well,
it said inspired by true secrets.
And who is taking us through these true secrets? I'm going to go in reverse order, and it doesn't matter.
Do it.
Reverse order of Wikipedia. Sharon Stone.
What?
David Schwimmer. Yes. Robert Patrick. Robert Patrick, the villain from T2. I love it.
I can't believe
Jeffrey
it.
Wright.
In a
Again.
wig. In a wig.
Give the man whatever. It don't matter. Give him some false teeth like they gave Meryl in Big Little Lies. Give him that too. Antonio Banderas.
Oh my goodness.
Mr. Flags himself. Gary Oldman. And Meryl Streep.
The Streep. Meryl the Streep.
Now, this is a Netflix movie. I love the runtime at an hour 35 minutes. That just sings to me. And it will be available starting at the end of this month. Tell us everybody. Tell us, Rev, what in the
Everybody
world?
you tell us.
The laundromat, so they must be washing something, and it ain't clothes.
Well, I will say this. You already said Panama Papers. You had me at Panama Papers. Yeah. So you know what that is. But this starts off in an interesting way. This is Steven, guys. You know, stop playing games. You know what you're going to get. You're going to get something strange. A real situation in a strange way. So you have, you're taken through this history lesson. Ooh, it's like economics meets the economics described to you by two good-looking great actors, and that, of course, is in the light of Antonio Banderas and Gary Oldman. These two are talking about the history of money, how currency came to be, and how currency is now. The stark difference between having something tangible and then having a concept, which is where we are now. Bitcoins. Even paper money isn't backed by anything tangible.
No gold standard, all of that stuff.
No gold, nothing. No silver even located in any of our coins. So there's nothing really tangible about money now. And these two are describing this in a very theatrical way. So as you are getting all of this information and your eyes are sort of rolling like, whoa, 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 it's still Antonio Banderas and Gary Oldman telling. Now, I am not going to tell you who they are. If you look it up on IMDb, then you'll know, oh my gosh, okay, who they are. I suggest you don't. Just don't look it up. And then cut to from the history lesson to a real life lesson. Meryl Streep and her husband James Crumley, is on their honeymoon.
Okay.
Yes, they're on their honeymoon and they're celebrating, I think, 45 years of marriage. They're older, they're enjoying life, and something tragic happens that changes everything for Meryl Streep's character, whose name is Ellen. Ellen has now had a life shift, and there is someone to blame for that life shift. The question is that someone or entity, shall we say, going to properly take care and be responsible for this tragic situation? Or are we going to flutter around as we were once told that money does? It is called the laundromat. And you're going to find out that every piece of information that Steven gives you will add up to this culminating reveal and moment. So even when you're literally at some point, you're going off into the hills of California to this African family, then you're whisked off to China, this Chinese family. Then you're all over the place. You're seeing Jeffrey Wright in a wig in the Cayman Islands somewhere, or wherever that is, the Caribbean. You're just all over the map. But that's what currency does, doesn't it? It goes from hand to hand. And who's left holding the bag? That's the real question. And so I'll leave you. Sharon Stone. You know what? I'm not going to talk about her. That's the plot. That's all I'll tell you about that. Because it is complicated, and I don't want to. There are some twists and turns. And definitely don't want to give those away. So stay away from those reviews. Stay away from. You can look to see like, what's the score, but I would stay away from reading things just in case there's some spoilers. And I figured out what happened.
You don't need it. You don't need Soderbergh, Meryl Streep, Banderas, Gary Oldman, everybody else. We don't need it. And the thing, I love the history of currency, so you had me at the beginning.
Okay, well, let me tell you.
Uh-oh.
This movie, in its description, is lofty and exciting and interesting, and the concept of it is just, whoa. It's actual. Now remember, this is on Netflix. This is not being theatrically released in a way that you would expect a Meryl Streep movie to be released. Gary Oldman coming off of his Oscar win. Antonio Banderas, who very well may receive an Oscar win for Pain and Glory, as he did in, not an Oscar, but as he got the award in Cannes. All the ingredients are there, but did the execution work? The critics did not find this to be an overwhelmingly wonderful experience. And I quite frankly have to agree. It's interesting. It's just interesting. But will I ever see this again? No, I won't. Unless I'm made to. Do I need to see it again? I do not. I don't. Was it good to see it? I like Steven Soderbergh. I like Meryl Streep. I like Antonio Banderas. I can check off my box and said I saw them all in this movie. But remember, it's a Netflix movie. So keep that in mind. And you say, oh, it's an hour and change, an hour and a half and change. That was the longest hour and a half and change I've ever experienced. It just was. Because you're getting history lessons here. You're getting very lofty, big ideas. And even though these actors are, these are some of the most honored actors of all time from various countries in this movie, you still fall short. And to me, if those actors can't make all those scenes work, then there's some issues there. But again, if you listen, I would have seen it. And I think a lot of people will see it. Just as a precaution, don't bring in your currency. Let me just funnel everything that I know from all these people, and this is going to be great. Just step back. It's the Panama Papers. It's Steven. It's these people. Woohoo. Now get over it and watch the movie. That's my suggestion. Interesting.
Now, just so everyone knows, Steven Soderbergh is working on something else for HBO Max starring Meryl Streep. So obviously they got along, but did it translate on the screen? That's up for you to decide. Now, with that said, those are the 4 movies that the ref saw on day 4. What is with 4 and 4, 3 and 3?
I know. 2 and 2. Yes. 1 and 1. Oh, that's so crazy. Yeah.
But it won't be 5 and 5.
Heck no, it's gonna be 2. But you might as well equal the 5 because these are gonna be what. Stay tuned for tomorrow for sure, because the 2 biggest movies of TIFF are. I'll get a chance to see those. The 2 biggest ones. Everybody wants to talk about these 2 movies, and I'll tell you later what they are.
Wow. So we'll look forward to that. And until we see you again, Ref, thank you for the wonderful reviews. Oh my goodness, TIFF is still going, everybody. And so are we.
So am I.
Thanks for listening. For additional resources, visit WhyWatchThat.com.
Good idea, and we'd love to hear from you. So go ahead and leave comments, feedback, and you can rate us on iTunes.
We'll see you next week.
See you.